Call this meeting to order, the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors for March 1st, 2022. Roll call, Mr. Beater.
Leyland.
Here.
Little.
Here.
Schwartz. Felka.
Here.
White.
Here. Have a moment of silence to reflect on our actions of today. As we do that, remember the Ukrainians and the things that are going on overseas. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have the agenda received as proposed or as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Anyone from the public in the audience here like to comment, have anything they'd like to comment on other than what's on the agenda? Anyone online? Hearing none, we'll move on to claims and payments. Mr. Perry?
This week's expenditures total $178,429.67. The jail commissary totals $41,393. Health department $15,884. Medical examiner $18,714, and finally sheriff's department $20,479. Everything looked normal.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Leyland.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Felka.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is receive project updates from department heads and elected officials. Morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Board. Kathy Nicholas, County Engineer. This morning I just wanted to call your attention to some proposed legislation that did make it through the funnel last week, and that is House File 2536, and that is a bill that would allow, that would make permanent the governor's proclamation issued during harvest season that allow trucks, vehicles hauling corn, soybeans, hay to exceed the legal maximum gross weight by up to 90,000 pounds. So it would make that permanent, and I'm urging you to not support that. Talk to the Urban County Coalition to not support that. Again, this is just, this would make permanent a higher loads going over our bridges. And that would probably lead to more load ratings that we would have to do in the future on our bridges. And just more loading on our bridges that ultimately lead them to decline in a faster mode. So I would urge you to not support that. Can I answer any questions about that?
Was that 2536?
Yeah, House File 2536.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Morning, Nafisa.
Good morning, Board. Nafisa Bonye, Blackhawk County Public Health. I just wanted to provide a brief update in regards to COVID and also the CDC guidance that changed on Friday. For our vaccination rates, we haven't made a huge difference since last week. We've had 30 cases since February 25th. And on the 25th, the CDC updated their community levels for COVID-19, moving to a low, medium, and high scale. These new levels are based on a combination of the rate of new COVID-19 cases of the last 7 days, the 7-day rate of new hospital admissions, and admission positive for COVID-19, and the 7-day average percent of inpatient hospital beds occupied by COVID-19 positive patients. So with the updated levels, Blackhawk County is at medium. Masks are only recommended for indoor public spaces at a high level. So as you see, I don't have my mask right now. But people may choose to continue to wear masks. And those at high risk for severe illness or are immunocompromised should speak to their healthcare providers about if they should continue to wear a mask in public. Is there any questions for us? We do anticipate updating our website, hopefully by today. We've had, Cohesive is the one that does it, so. Questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other update? Oh,
Just one Amanda Fesmeyer, HR Director. Just wanted to share with you all, we had a great turnout last week to our safety training with IMWCA. We did a safety incident review and investigation, had 5 sessions of that, and had a great turnout from the safety committee, as well as the department supervisors and department heads and elected officials. So moving in the right direction with safety. We're now working on cascading this information down to the departments with the employees in order to have more visibility to safety protocols, understanding how an investigation works and what it is to really not find fault, but find fact and prevent future incidents from occurring again.
When you mentioned cascading down to the others, how will that be done, or what are you intending to do?
So some of that will be done with the department heads and supervisors that went through the training, as well as human resources. So we're looking at trying to hold possibly some staff meetings and giving that information out in, like, whether it's a presentation or some key points. And we're coupling that with the safety committee is coming out with a new way for employees to report or non-employees to report incidents and things that are called, near misses or actual injuries. So that's all going to be done with human resources and the department heads and elected officials throughout their various meetings. So, yep.
Great, thank you.
That's the plan. Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Amanda. Anyone online? Yolando?
Good morning, Board. Yolanda Lovelace, Blackhawk County Veterans Affairs. I just had a couple quick things that I wanted to remind the Board is that tomorrow we're having our Veterans Commission meeting with that we have some special guests coming down from Marshalltown from the Iowa Veterans Home. Some of the staff are going to come down and provide a presentation on what they provide. We currently have 17 residents from Blackhawk County down at their facility. They home about 400 of our veterans throughout the state of Iowa. They're going to come in and provide a presentation at our commission meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock here at our facility. We also did a food drive and personal item for the veterans down in the Iowa Veterans Home. We'll be dropping those products off this week. We want to personally deliver them because the veterans get a better appreciation for us if we deliver them firsthand by giving them to the staff that's coming up tomorrow. On the 10th of March, we're going to kick off our first lunch here in our facilities. We're going to do a little chili for our veterans. It'll be from 11 to 1. And just to kick off, depending on weather and things of that nature, but we're just looking forward to getting back and associating ourselves with veterans throughout the community. And then lastly, we've developed a partnership with Elevate and the Vet Center down in Cedar Rapids. We're now doing 2 different services. One on Monday, we're doing one-on-one peer counseling, and that's done through the Cedar Rapids Vet Center. They have a counselor who does adjustment, we call it adjustment counseling, to where veterans can come and get adjustment counseling on Monday. And then on Fridays from 9 to 11, Elevate's doing peer-to-peer counseling. And both of these I see these are beneficial for our veterans, especially the ones that are struggling with mental health in that standpoint. So just wanted to bring up the speed that we have set up 2 good partnerships with mental health to get to utilize our facility for one in that standpoint, because it would be done right here in our facility. But to also get some veterans some assistance that they do need. Anybody address any questions or concerns?
No? Good report, Yolanda, thank you.
Thank you for that update, Yolanda. Anyone else? Hearing none, move on for minutes approved, February 22nd, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Consent agenda by resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on any of the items? Hearing none, this is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Jelka,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is number 7, other business, resolution that the lowest responsible bid received from Kingdom Line Markings, Gilbert, Iowa, for fiscal year 22 pavement markings project in various locations throughout the county with a bid of $118,401.68. Engineer's estimate was $99,226.63. Be awarded as recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
So moved.
Second.
Kathy?
Yeah, like you said, we did receive the four bidders. Following county policy, we estimated the cost would be under $100,000. We opened the bids down in the office. We received the bids. I would recommend that you sign the contract with Camline. They have done work for us before in the past, the pavement markings in particular. They do a nice job. Costs are about 25% higher than they were last year, just due to labor costs and fuel costs and material costs is what we've been hearing. But pavement markings are a very cost-effective way of making the roadway safer, so we really need to keep up with our pavement markings. So I would urge you to sign the contract.
I have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any further discussion? This resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Trelka,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is a motion that the personnel requisition for a temporary civil engineering technician aid 1 position, full-time, May through August, effective May 1st, 2022, be approved and recommended by Catherine Nicholas, County Engineer.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Kathy?
This is just our usual request for one part-time summer employee. Well, they would be full-time this summer. It's coming out of both fiscal years because we do go from early May until the end of August. So I would ask that we be allowed to hire this person. They'll probably most likely be helping us with our sign database, collecting some of our assets, as well as we want to get them exposed to asphalt paving as well as some bridge work this summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Any reports or information from the board? I'd like to send out our sympathy to the Mike Dvorak family, and also congratulations to the Don Bosco wrestling team on an outstanding year in their 2 championships, and also the Waterloo Warriors on qualifying for the Nationals in Texas in April, I believe they'll be going, and they will be selling raffle tickets, I've been told, to raise the money they need to go to Texas, so they will be available.
Always afraid we'll miss someone when we do those sympathy and condolences to people, but I said Milt Dakovich was another person I know, his family,
yep.
extending it to his family
Yep.
as well, condolences. Do you have anything, Dan? I was going to say, I just had a couple of questions, I guess, for the board. I know we talked about having the communities present to us their projects, the wastewater treatments or whatever projects they had, and looking for a date, I guess, that worked for us. And I didn't know, I know we talked about, a couple weeks out and doing something like that. And I know we also had the discussion last week about doing something on bonuses, having a work session or an item on bonuses.
Yeah, and apparently with the bonuses, Amanda and James aren't ready. They're gathering more information, so that is yet to come from what I understand. And I agree, let's schedule these communities to come forward and lay out their plan or their desire, and
So
let's talk.
I guess that's my question, I guess, too, on date. As far as, do we want one before the other? Do we need the bonus one before? Or how much time or work do you want to have to do, I guess, before we have that discussion, or so that we can have that too?
So for the retention, James and I can work on to determine the definitions of the bonus programs under the ARPA. We have already done some preliminary research, I guess, on that. One thing I think we kind of need a little bit from the board with direction is to, the scope of this, because the scope is pretty broad under the ARPA. We know that, we had 3 departments that were deemed essential that weren't available for that administrative leave back when we went through that with the pandemic when it first started. So that's one thing to kind of take into consideration. But retention also being that word, meaning that you're trying to retain people. And so that's there's some things I think that we kind of want to hear from the board too as to the direction of this and kind of that scope with a bonus program.
So
I
is
would
that,
say, since sworn law enforcement officers are being taken care of by the state, we can take them out, and my personal opinion is we can take out elected officials, so that pares it down to 300 potential employees, close to 300 potential employees.
So we can start there. You know, and again, even just the amount that we're looking at, we're just going off right now with the state being $1,000. Again, just kind of some feedback as to what you guys are looking for. Is that adequate? Are you looking for, you know, less, more? Just kind of the parameters of what you guys want. So we can start with that and start with 1,000 as what the state's done, and go from there.
Yeah, numbers and positions and that type of thing, I guess I think I was more interested in. I think the dollar amount to be determined, but $1,000 I know obviously be a pretty easy one to calculate once we know what those.
And we can structure it however
Positions
you
were.
want. If you want 500, 1,000, and you know whatever that looks like. I mean that's no problem. We can provide multiple solutions or multiple different avenues to go as well. So
And
Well,
then
and one thing I'd like us to consider too, and again, I'm just one member of the board, but our security guards work through it. They are not our employees, however, they were there. So how, I mean, we probably can't give them any funding, but how are other ways they could be recognized, compensated, whatever?
Okay, so we can, you know, kind of dive in that as well. And then the last thing would be, again, just speaking from the scope here, is there a date as to when, I mean, there's kind of got to be a start and a cutoff to this, and I believe the state, for you guys, was it February 1st maybe?
They had to be certified by February 1st or 15th.
1st or 15th, so that's one thing to keep in mind too, you know, are we going to say, okay, if you're hired as of March 1st, you're included in this, or is it, are we going to, you know, extend that out to April 1st? It's just those little details that
Well, do
that
we need
some-
information from you, I guess, to help us make that?
May I suggest we have a work session on this? We're discussing this under supervisors' comments. It sounds like you want some defining answers. So maybe possibly we should be scheduling a work session on this so you can get all your answers and then the entire board is involved. How's that sound?
I like that. That sounds great.
Hopefully the entire board will be involved, yes.
So I guess, yeah, work session would be wonderful.
So would that be good for next week? That's what I was thinking. You talked about a week or two for the communities,
Okay.
but let's do.
Does that give you enough time?
Would that be good?
yeah.
Yep,
And then we can go
make
from
it
there.
work. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then maybe the communities, and we can talk about it next week, go for like the 15th. Does the
Yes.
15th
I've just
sound
told
good
them to
for
come in and give their comments under
public comment?
public comments.
I told them if they hadn't heard from us in 2 weeks, go for it.
Yeah,
That's
well,
their
some
right.
wanted to be involved in the discussion, I think, as a group, and whether we do that way or not, I guess is up to us, but
We can set dates.
we can, yeah. So we can,
How about the 15th for Raymond and Elk Run Heights? And why don't we take on LaPorte City and Evansdale the week after?
well, why not do
What
it
if
all
it
at
doesn't
once?
work for them? We're setting their date and we don't even know if they're available.
Well, we can ask. I mean, obviously, we can hear back and report back next week if somebody doesn't like the date or can't make it. Sure. Okay.
You got Evansdale, you got Gilbertville, you got Dunkerton, you got LaPorte City, you got Hudson, Elk Run, Raymond. If you're gonna have one, we need to have them all.
Yeah, I think we,
And notify them all who wants to show up, shows up. Then we're discussing under an agenda item
Yep.
for action at a later date.
sure. I think that's what we were thinking, maybe yeah.
Sure.
15th sound good to you, Tom?
Yeah, that's fine as long as we notify all the individual cities, because some of them watched it that day on public comments and said they would have been here if they would have known there was going to be discussion. So I think it's imperative that we notify all our cities and let them come if they want to come, and they can all make their requests at the same time.
Yeah,
The Ides of March.
I think so. It's March, okay, unless they can't. Yeah, the 15th sounds good then. Great, thank you.
Anything else under reports?
No,
Hearing none. Next is closed session. This is pursuant to the provisions of 21.5 of the Code of Iowa, the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors, so proceeding to closed session at 9:39 for the purpose of hearing proposals stemming from the pending county space analysis.
So moved?
second?
Motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
The
Oh, that's
Resolution.
a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Jelka,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
White,
Yes. Resolution adopted.